Hey everybody, it's Sarah, and it's Spirit of Saturday, and today this week we decided to look at recovery and the past year and passing, and the new year and what that means for us, and strategies and tactics to deal with the new year and to make the best of it. But one thing that's bugging me for a bit that I wanted to mention is that I can see how, as a viewer of these videos, who watches them, consistently, which we absolutely love you for, thank you very much, I can see how you would start to doubt that recovery is actually a really up and down process. And I just want to reassure you that it's not that we don't struggle, it's that we don't struggle publicly, if that makes any sense. One of the only things that works in a recovery cycle like this are basically two unspoken rules, and one of them is respect for everybody, and the second is this sort of unofficial agreement that no matter how bad it gets, in the good times you make as much gain, or you gain as much as you can in terms of recovery when the times are good, and you do your best to hold on to that when the times are bad, and not to lose too much ground. I know I can't speak for everyone, but I know personally that chances are, if I'm struggling a lot, you're not going to see me here. And it's not because I've stopped believing in recovery. It's because I don't want to drag anybody down with me. And that's basically the rule that a lot of us have to, that a lot of us base our recovery on, is that you do recovery together, you do sick on your own. And I guess that's just what I wanted to reassure you, is that we don't have steady, uphill, wonderful recoveries either. We're on the same journey that you are, and it's hard, and it sucks sometimes, but we do believe in it, and we believe strongly in recovery, and that's what holds us through, and hopefully you can take something from that. In terms of the year in passing, sometimes it can be really, really, really hard because you get stuck in that mindset of, oh, I have accomplished nothing. Well, over the last year, on paper, it looks like I've accomplished nothing. I took 4 semesters of school, well, 3 semesters of school, and got 4 courses. So effectively, I flunked out of 2 of the 3 semesters. And eating disorder wise, I'm worse off now than I was last year. And when you look at all the actual tangible objectives that indicate my recovery, there aren't a whole lot there. But I also have to remember that, I've made a really awesome friend this year, that I can sleep now. When I go to bed, it takes me less than an hour to fall asleep. It didn't used to. I would stay up the whole night absolutely petrified because of the nightmares that I would get, and that's not happening anymore. In terms of losing space, losing time, or otherwise known as dissociating, that is way, way down for me right now. But I can't tell you and show you how much better it is. I know intrinsically that it is much better. And I think that that's really, really important to remember, is that yes, there are those objectives and those goals and those dreams and those plans for the future that are, an indication of success, but there are so many other smaller things that are also an indication of success. The other thing that I often really strongly suggest is that people have recovery buddies, and they have something called a life pact. when you can't recover for yourself, then you recover for someone else. And if two people are doing that for each other, then you're going to have enough energy to make it through. And you're going to have enough positive motivation and positive forward movement in your recovery, even when you don't feel like you can't, because someone else has it for you. In terms of, New Year's resolutions, for some reason, losing weight is always one of them. Let's put it this way. If we were to take out weight instead of losing weight, and we put health, because basically that's what it is for us, we put losing health, would we really be so psyched about that goal? I don't think so. And it's really, really important to remember that. And that for us, losing weight is not a good thing. For us, if you're healthy weight anyway, losing weight is equivalent to losing health. And there's no reason we should aspire to that. One of the things that I suggest is if you're in a more negative headspace than you usually are, I suggest avoiding making any New Year's resolutions whatsoever, because you won't be able to stick to them, or they'll be unhealthy. And when you can't stick to them, or you're successful at being sick, or attaining those resolutions that are sick, you just set yourself up for failure in about 3 different ways, and I just don't think that's necessary. So if you're not in a good spot to make New Year's resolutions, I generally suggest that you don't. Or you make really, really broad ones, like, I aim to be more active. Everybody can be more active. I don't care, well, unless you're an obsessive compulsive exerciser, but everybody can be more active most of the times. Unless that's a symptom of your eating disorder. Everyone benefits from more activity. So, not putting a number or not putting a quantity on it can often make the resolution a lot healthier. Losing weight is a terrible resolution. Gaining health is a much better one. And a lot of times you have to be around people who are like, oh, well, I'm going to lose weight, and the good news is that these resolutions don't stick around past, January 31st, because most people aren't consumed enough by their body image and their weight loss goals that they just get bored of it, and as they should. It's not that important, and, eventually you'll just have to ride that one wave in January where you have to get past everybody and their dog who wants to, lose 40 pounds or X pounds from Jenny Craig and blah, 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 blah. The person drives me a bit mad. But, goals and resolutions like, I want to be more involved with my friends' lives, or, I want to not do better in school, but enjoy school, for example. Those are all really, really good resolutions, and they all work for me quite well. One of the resolutions I made last year, and I'm one of those people not making resolutions this year, one of the resolutions I made last year was to continue my recovery and to be more thankful for things and grateful. And, when I look and I reflect back on that, I have to remember that in my journal, where I write, every day, every second day, over half the entries, or almost half the entries, have lists of gratitudes. 16 of them to be specific. But, that's a tangible, quantifiable result that most people wouldn't think to bank anything on. The bottom line is that I was a lot more successful at being grateful and being thankful for things than I was the year before. And basically, if you're going to do if you're going to do the whole making New Year's resolution thing, just make sure that it sets you up for success. And chances are, if it has numbers in it, it's not successful. Chances are, if it has a complete overhaul of your personality, it's not going to be successful. And chances are, if it's outwardly based on validation, like validation outside of you, it's not going to be successful. But, you know, resolutions can, basically, they can make or break your year. And it's really, really important to make sure they make your year and not break your year. You know, I have a friend, I only have 2 friends from the clinic where I received my treatment. Just because I don't like to keep in touch with people with eating disorders unless I have something more to the friendship with them than that. And you know, I have a life pack buddy. And we, you know, we're both aiming to get to recovery eventually, and we both believe in it, and we both need it in a way that's very similar, and we're bent on getting, we're hell-bent on getting there. And, you know, when I think about what have we achieved in recovery, the both of us, not a whole lot eating disorder-wise. I'm worse off than I was last year eating disorder-wise, and she's worse off than she was last year eating disorder-wise. But we're also both not in hospital. So, you know, that's really something that we have to remember, is that we made so much progress that we don't have to be hospitalized. You know, achievements don't have to be leaps and bounds. They just have to be noticeable. And the fact of the matter is that there's always some noticeable change. And if it's good, grab onto it. Make as many gains as you can towards what you want with it. And on the days it's not that great, and you can't see that change very well, just hold on to it. It's coming. You'll see it tomorrow, or maybe the next day, or the day after. And the whole New Year's resolution blip, it'll be over as soon as you know it. And then we'll be home free. And we won't have to worry about Jenny Craig ads and Weight Watchers ads and that kind of thing. Okay, so I have a cold, so I'm kind of rambling, and I'm hoping this turns out sounding okay. But Happy New Year, everybody, and take care and make it a great one.